All right, welcome back to another quick hit with the board drill. As usual, I'm your host, Kyle. With me is my co-host, Matt. Still has the vacuum in the background, so we are, 30-something episodes in, vacuum in the background every week. We'll talk about that later, Matt. All right, tonight, Oklahoma State RPOs.
We're gonna get out of the way. We're gonna get out of the way now.
Oh, God.
It holds the door open. The door doesn't close. So, the only way to hold the door completely open is to put the vacuum in the way. I need a little door holder or something.
Yeah, maybe like a doorstop that you can steal from school. So, all right. That's wild. Okay, Oklahoma State RPOs. We're talking about that tonight. You ready?
Let's go.
All right, let me hit share screen. Everything's working. All right, so Matt, you're going to go ahead and lead this one. Here we go.
All right, so when breaking down this Oklahoma State film, it really jumped off the screen what they were doing in the RPO game with counter. So we really zoned in on this and found some good things from them. They had both a field side and a boundary side RPO. And you can tell by this boundary side RPO, the outside receiver is going to get a little bit of an in-slide, slow stalk block release. And then he's going to work to the corner, kind of like a little sail route, corner route. And the inside receiver, he's going to stalk to a 5-yard out. And they kind of tempo it. It's not full speed ever, but they kind of tempo it. Usually when number 2 is pressed, they know that it's going to be pretty much an automatic run play. That's what it seems like when number 2 is pressed up or they got 3 over them. It's going to be a give by the quarterback. Here we go. Here's a good shot. So yeah, typical counter play inside. Pulling with the guard, kicking, leading with the H-back through, GH counter. Look at the tackle, guys. Tackle does a great job checking the hip, and then watch what he does with the backside linebacker. The backside linebacker flows over the top. He takes his momentum with him. That is a beautiful job by the offensive tackle. I mean, that's textbook what you want.
I think that's the big difference between college and high school guys at the time. And I'm not saying high school guys don't do this. Somebody somewhere is going to be like, well, our guy does it. But the college guys do a good job of, like you said, taking this guy back outside, right? The high school guys, I mean, I coach all the time. We're taught to fit over top of the down block, right? So our job, we tell this kid, you got to fit over top of that. And so the tackle does a really good job just being patient, like, fine, you want to fit outside? We'll take you outside. And just like you're saying, now the only person left is someone that was assigned to the RPO. So they're a really late fitter, right? This is a safety coming from 11 yards. So here we go. There's a 10-yard gain right there. So I think that's a great example of those RPOs doing a good job of holding those guys. It may not be the safety. Maybe no, it is a safety. Okay.
Safety.
Yeah, it's the safety. And I didn't know whether it was the nickel or safety, but from that angle. So it's just a great job of the RPO holding those guys that you want to, when you play quarters, right? You want to fit the box with 8. Well, they're making you fit the box with 6 here with the RPO, and then doing a great job of when you fit it right. The idea is I fit it here and I make it bounce outside. Well, because this guy turns out on it, they're able to hit it up inside. And that's the difference right there, right? When you fit with 6, everything has to bounce. There's no, you have to cancel interior gaps. Oklahoma State, great job by 71 there. Boys, that teach tapes. That's a good job.
Coach, go back to that. Another thing I'd like to point out, notice the quarterback clearing the midline out of pistol. He's clearing the midline and turning his shoulders towards the RPO. That's one thing that's consistent with Oklahoma State throughout this. So what you'll see is that he's going to clear and turn to the direction. So that running back's coming downhill no matter what. Okay, he's coming right down the middle. So it doesn't matter if the running back goes backside or front side. It's on the quarterback reading the RPO is the way they set it. So I thought that was really interesting. Also, this is great tape for young running backs if you try to run this out of the pistol, because he's right there on the hash, and watch him keep it tight down that hash. He kind of does a little stutter there. He almost pushes it too far play side, but he does a good job staying right off the butts of the offensive lineman. That's where you want this play to hit. You want it to hit a gap. It should be right down the pipe on the defense. That's where the big runs come from.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And Ollie Gordon, go Dolphins. Go Fins. All right. Here we go. Now they're looking at the glance route, so it's very clear which side they're looking at this for. The back side, they're stalk blocking. Quarterback turns his back to that side. To the single receiver side, he's on a glance route. All right. Nothing there in the alley right away within the first 10 yards. So that quarterback's just going to pull up and throw it.
Yeah. And I think the big piece here defensively, right, and again, they may be bracketing the single, they may not. I mean, really, they're kind of spinning a variation of cover 1 or cover 3, or I can't tell if it's match 3 or 1 based off what they're doing. But like you said, anytime that guy starts to, because he's not really spinning right, he's just kind of sitting that window a little weird, but it's far enough off that he's going to get that fit. And he sees, right, they understand, right, the numbers and how it's fit. And right here, right, South Dakota State does a good job fitting this. And I'll go back to the edge, right? Like even though they're fitting with 6, they do a pretty good job here having that's why they Tom stun it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So 90 stunts down inside. The offensive tackle takes him, and they end up. So the offensive line does a great job. That pulling guard does a great job staying on his track and kicking the first guy he sees. Yeah. Right. So that 90 stunts across, 0 replaces. He's just going to stay on his track and kick 0.
Yeah. So good job, right? We go back to it defensively. Hey, great job this time canceling out the gaps. Like we said, right? They do a stunt. They're canceling out all the gaps they can. In theory, if you hand it, this would bounce, right? But like you said, they end up just throwing the glance off of it. Really nice job.
Go back to that one more time, Kyle. Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, you're good. Go to and watch 93. I don't know, Kyle, what you say about this. I guess this is some sort of loop or something they have in.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a Tom,
working
but it
over the
like,
top.
Yeah, he's actually working all the way to the outside. So it's kind of like a pirate with like a loop over top. But he does a great job of engaging, realizing, okay, and now I got to work over top. Bang, bang. There we go.
You end up getting tight end on defensive tackle. Center loses them, and the tight end wraps to the defensive tackle, which I don't think I've ever seen on film.
Yeah,
but
which
that's
you
cool.
And to that, and you get a free hitter in the back or so. Great idea here by South Dakota State. Obviously, in a perfect world, you'd also be bracketing this guy. I mean, then you'd feel really good about the play, right? If you were playing cone right here, you could have that guy breaking downfield and all kinds of good stuff going on.
And maybe it's because, and can you go back pre-snap? Maybe it's because, I feel like if I was a defensive coordinator, I'd feel out leveraged to the tight end right here. Maybe because Oklahoma State runs so much counter, they're not too worried about the tight end being there. I don't know, but you feel like you're out leveraged, but they're in the right spot. They're running the right thing.
Those FCS teams, North Dakota State, they love, traditional 4-down fronts. They love playing a 5 to the tight end. It's their thing. And look, they're either going to fit with, if they're playing a traditional outside, Sam here, or they're going to fit with the safety. They like their guys' run fits, and boy, they're pretty darn good at it. So I don't blame them for the way they're playing it. It's different than how a lot of guys play it now, right? A lot of guys will get in a 6 or a 9 or anything, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not getting into that argument right now, but we'll go through that.
We should do one on that. We should talk about that one day.
I don't even give
Here
a crap.
Are. They're into the boundary. So here comes your sail or corner, whatever you want to call it. Now, I don't even know what to call it there because he's so condensed into the boundary.
The banana 7 or whatever people call it. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And you're out. Once again, he's not pressed, so it's pretty much a green light for the quarterback. If that corner backs off like he does, that exchange creates separation.
Yep, and you get hot quarters here, basically. So they're bringing 6. Again, I'm going to assume it's hot quarters. It's hard to tell sometimes, but, it's 1 underneath kind of quarters. So kind of like 0 with a man underneath, what I would call that Flores hot quarters. But right now, the quarterback gets it here. They're beating the run game right now.
They are.
So you got to throw the access throw or whatever you want to call it as quick as he can. He does a great job
of the quarterback getting out there. Yeah. Excellent job.
Again, especially when you know
back view.
Yeah, South Dakota State.
Imagine actually not having the RPO in right here. You'd be beat. What is the center doing? What's he doing?
I don't know. Yeah, shouldn't he block back on the blitzer here? But yeah. I mean, it is right. Like that's the ultimate thing on. whether the
Got a
center
triple
misses them or
team.
not, if you can get a guy clean through the backside A gap, that's how you fight counter power right there. It's bringing that guy through that. So good job.
Looks
But
like
you know what,
center
though?
messed up.
Again, because of the RPO, great access throw.
Yep.
Do you have anything else on this one?
Nope.
All right.
No, I like what they're doing here into the boundary.
Yeah.
I like how they have it spaced out. Here it is again.
Plus, hold on to go back to that.
Late.
Plus, if you're a high school coach, like the boundary stuff's where it's at, unless you have one of those dudes at quarterback, right? We don't all have that. I get it, man. If you got a kid that's committed to Notre Dame, you're our friend down in Lake Mary. It feels pretty. You can throw that RPO anywhere. But if a lot of other places, you got to throw it into the boundary. So
Donnelly has the whole field open. Same thing again here. You're looking at a trip swing look into the boundary and running counter, showing the RPO there. I mean, you're basically holding 3 there for a minute. You should have an advantage in the run game.
Yeah, where they get caught here, Matt, is they're cloud cover 3, and we actually wrote an article on this. South Dakota State actually trap fits their corner in cloud cover 3. So you're going to see, and by trap fit, I mean if they see run, it basically turns into a corner blitz. So you'll see 4 here to the field is going to turn it and burn it here. And basically, if 10 does a more aggressive job of blocking him and gets a piece of him, they could be off to the races here. But because they don't, 4 is able to collect right because the tight end or whoever has to take him super late, which gives kind of the backer, and again, this is part of this is South Dakota State doing, again, canceling interior gaps and working over. 29 does an excellent job here. I mean, just
excellent job by 29. Graham Spalding, excellent linebacker.
Takes on a guard and just does a great job as really probably an undersized linebacker versus that guard. Because really linebackers just smaller.
And I know that kid used to be a safety back in the day, and he converted to linebacker.
Yep.
Which is I mean definitely that's undersized taking on an FBS guard. It's excellent.
Yeah, that's kind of that path of those kids and how they take it. But really good job here by the defense. But again, like you said, if it's not for the trap fit here, right? They do a good job. They hang the guy in the RPO. You can even kind of see the backside linebacker hangs a bit longer. Boy, if not for that trap fit in corner, they're probably pretty good off here. So, where's my not loading here? Here we go.
Here we go. All right, so this is a little bit different. A look here, trips to the field. Is this counter? Yeah. Did I mark it right? They did something different.
Yeah, it's CY counter. The center.
Oh, here we go. It's CY counter. Okay, this was not included. If you read the article, this was not included on the article because it was CY counter. I didn't want to include too much on it. But a cool little variation they did, and into the trips, they get an outside release from number 2 to clear for number 1 underneath on like a slant.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool what they do here to trips.
And the way the big piece here is how they understand how South Dakota State defends trips with their quarters. And basically, like you said, they're kind of number 2 is pressed, and then they kind of play like a quarters look around it. And so knowing that, they do a great job of kind of, I don't know whether he slot fade or whatever it is, but he does a great job of getting in the way of the corner. And then it's almost, what do you guys call it? That fin route, not quite a slant, but it's a fin. And they just do a good job of getting flat here and throwing a good ball. And the corner does a great job recovering and making a tackle, but it's not enough, right? It's 7-8 yard gain.
For me, that's a slant. I'd consider a 3-step slant there.
That's fair.
I like my slants nice and flat.
So look at the CY counter portion. I don't that center's not used to pulling on that squeezing end.
Yeah. So he could have probably skip pulled that.
Yeah, a little different variation though. So I think we got a few more here. This one got blown up pretty good.
Yeah, so this was a little bit different. Okay, here's another one that's different that I thought was interesting. They bring the H in motion. Go back to the beginning, Coach. They bring they have their Y and their H. They trade the Y and the H. They bring the H in motion and kick like he's a guard and then pull the Y. Yeah. So YH
escort
counter.
Motion. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. Not much into the RPO. They just got like a bubble slant over there into the boundary. So pretty basic there. But I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty interesting little concept they were in there.
Yeah, and that's kind of combining 2 of the newer concepts we've seen. And again, I'm not saying they're brand new, but right, we all saw it in the first game last year. It pained me. Georgia Tech killing Florida State on the escort motion, right? And that was kind of this motion here. But then lately we've seen a lot of what kind of, and again, I'm just going off what Dan Casey calls it because he's the guy that names it, right? Calls it YY counter. So this is a version of, to me, this is like a version of a YY counter, right? With a little escort motion, there's YY counter. But unfortunately, they run that YY counter right into a field pressure here by the Jackrabbits, and it doesn't work out very well.
I feel like you have one Y on the field, so I'm a HY.
I'm with you.
I'm a HY guy. You know,
I don't
like
name things.
there.
I'm not an offensive guy. All right, I'm going with Dan Casey here.
I mean, this pretty much looks like a double split zone the way they run it. Pretty cool.
So
I used to like doing that shift, the H and Y shift. I called it hay. I always found that fun to do.
Just because you like horses.
We're back on the CY.
Oh, is that
okay? So here's one. Oh yeah, this is okay. So here's to the field in breaking routes. Maybe I passed over that. Field side in breaking routes here. So good job by both receivers. And if you look, he's going to read that flats defender 29 out there in space. He's going to read that guy. He reacts into the counter. They're going to throw it.
Yep. And that's always right. This is basic RPO 101 that, every high school probably does, right? Just read the overhang. He's kind of fitting / hanging the window, throw the ball behind it, make the safety make a great break. And again, I think the safety does a pretty good job.
There.
Yeah. And I think the safety does a good job, but it's a better throw and catch. And that's the world you live in sometimes. I think offenses do a good job of that. So I think that's our last counter. Oh, no, we got one more counter here. All right.
This is different. We can show this one. Let's show this one.
Yep.
This is GT. I don't remember exactly. Oh, here we go.
It's Q.
Maybe it's not. It's G. It's QCH actually. It's mislabeled. Totally mislabeled. QCH. I guess I made an assumption there.
With the
I used to call this bounce motion. Motioning out there. If no one runs with it, throw it. It's a good visual for the quarterback. You don't see anybody go with the motion, throw it. If people go with the motion, you see there's static there. There's no movement. Throw it. If it's dynamic, people go with the motion. You run it.
Yep. So good variation off some of this stuff we're talking about, but still basically an RPO in my book. So that'll pass for this video. That'll pass. So well, awesome, Matt. That's our counter video with some of the RPOs from Oklahoma State. Again, if you haven't read the article, go to boarddrill.com and read Matt's article. We just released it today, which is June 30th, in case you're watching this video a little later. But go check out that article. If you got any commentary, any questions about it, let us know. And we'll see you next time on the Board Drill.